Hello, I'm Richard Frieder from the Hartford Vote to Coalition, and we are very pleased to present these brief interviews with candidates for the Hartford Board of Education who will be on the ballot on November 2nd. The Hartford Vote to Coalition is a nonpartisan group of about a dozen organizations and agencies, and we are committed to supporting the democratic process and to increasing voter engagement in Hartford. Normally, we host live in-person events with candidates, but this year, because of the pandemic, we are instead bringing you these recorded interviews in the hope that the interviews will help you get to know the candidates as you get ready to vote. For more information on the coalition and for lots of details on this year's election, links to all of the interviews with each of the candidates for the Board of Ed, as well as information on how to register, where to vote, and other important information, please visit our website at www.hartfordvotes.org. We'd also love to have your feedback on these interviews and on our work in general. So again, we would invite you to connect with us through our website. Once again, the address is www.hartfordvotes.org. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I welcome you to the first of 5 discussions with Board of Education candidates for the Hartford Board of Education in election 2021. My name is Carol Mulready. I am a member of the Hartford Vote to Coalition. My representation is for the League of Women Voters. I have been a member of the League of Women Voters for longer than you want to know, but have been a moderator for the League for over 20 years. I also am a proud graduate of the Hartford Public High School, Bulkley High School, for wonderful years of my life. So I'm very happy to be here. And joining with me for the interview, of course, is our candidate, Bryan Callender, and my co-host, Taya Vaz, who will introduce herself. Taya.
My name's Taya Vaz, and I am a graduate of the Hartford Public School Systems. I graduated in 2018 from Hartford Magnet Trinity College Academy, and I'm currently a senior at UConn Hartford.
Thank you, Taya. And Bryan, that brings us to you, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself before we begin the questions.
Okay, so there's a little bit of an echo, but no, I am not a Hartford Public Schools graduate. Unfortunately, my parents are, but I'm not. I'm actually a graduate of Windsor High Schools. I moved to Windsor back in 2006 for a little bit of middle school and then to graduate high school. Then I attended CCSU in fall of 2011, graduated in spring of 2015. And Carol, I don't know if you just want me to give the whole spiel, but
yes, go right ahead.
So I am a native of Hartford, although I did not graduate from Hartford Public Schools. I spent most of my childhood living on Albany Avenue, if you guys are familiar with that neighborhood. I think we all know the troubles in that neighborhood, and because of the issues in that community, that basically forced my parents' hand to send me to a different school district. So I had to leave all my friends, leave my teachers, etc., to basically start anew there. And I think that might be, the catalyst that got me to even want to run for Board of Ed, because right now we have a situation where our schools, our institutions are not able to keep students, keep teachers, and keep our parents involved. So I hope that's enough. I hope that's a nice introduction just to kind of tell you my approach to this, and let's have a conversation.
Excellent. All right. So one of the questions that we have here has to do with the funding that has been received by the public schools as a result of COVID-19 over the last 18 months. And so we would like to know what would you suggest to the superintendent as a policymaker for strategies to use to help students who have fallen significantly behind?
Sure. Yeah, and that's really one of the most pressing questions: is how are we going to navigate through this this recovery phase? Hopefully, we're in the backside of COVID. Hopefully, we're near the end. But my suggestion to the superintendent would be to use those additional funds to get more support in the classrooms, and that could be from paraeducators, that could be from local college students, tutors, whatever have you. We have to really focus on getting our students back into the rhythm of school and being able to maximize instruction time. So I think by using those funds to get more more paraprofessionals, more tutors in the classroom, I think that's what we should look at first, to get our students back on track. We saw what just happened in New Britain, where they tried to go back to things as normal, and they had to end up resetting their school year. Very unfortunate, but that's the reality, And so many of the challenges that districts like that face, we face at even higher levels. So if we want to reach our goals and service our students, we have to get them the resources, and I think our teachers will support that as well.
Thank you. Taya, the next question.
Okay, what is or should be the role of technology education in the curriculum for Hartford students?
What should be the role of technology education? And I'm sorry, what else?
It's what is or should be the role of technology education in the curriculum for Hartford students?
Well, I'm starting to get old. I don't have a gray hair yet. I'm starting to get old, and I think that we should really focus on the teacher student relationship and not rely so heavily on technology. At least not until late in the elementary phase. I think our students are starting to lose those social interactions, those peer connections. So I would support a curriculum that incentivize that. But there, of course, you have a lot of technology emerging. Smart boards those things, etc. Those should be implemented. Chromebooks, I support that. The iPads, I support that. They help create a different experience. I'm not against those things, but I think it's very important to develop a foundation of strong social connections first before we dive into technology so hard.
So given that your emphasis is on relationship building, how do you rate what the technology availability is in Hartford? Is it adequate for what is needed in the curriculum for a contemporary society, as far as you know?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, probably not. I know there has been talks about setting up free internet for our students. I'm not sure how that was actually carried out, but I do support our students having, especially our students at risk students, or any students having access to the internet and making sure that they stay connected that way. But once again, I'm not I'm not one of those people who think, oh well, we spend more money on the technology, it'll result in better grades for our students. I do believe in giving them the access to be able to carry out the assignments that our teachers will demand of them at home, and etc.
I have a
Thank
follow-up
you.
question for you because you mentioned the social interactions, and it's similar to one of the questions, which is how should the school district address development of skills beyond computer literacy, like critical thinking and problem solving, that are going to be necessary in the workplace of the future?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the beginning of your question.
How should the school district address development of skills beyond computer literacy, like critical thinking and problem solving that are going to be necessary in the workplace of the future, which reminded me of what you said about social interactions and being less technology based.
Right. Right. So, I think a lot of leadership training would come into play. One of the things I believe in is developing vocational skills, especially at the high school level. It would not so much be the school doing it. It would be the schools developing partnerships with surrounding organizations who know what skills workers are going to need tomorrow, right? Our responsibility, or I see our responsibility, being able to provide that door for students to walk through to do that. You kind of mentioned something about critical skills, right, or critical thinking. I would love to see a lot more film study take place, especially with some of the common issues surrounding the students, particularly the violence. I would love to see discussions being taken place so that by the time our students graduate, they have a real understanding of the reality of how things are shaping up in their community and how they can grow to address that.
Well done. Taya, you can go to the next question that we had scheduled you for.
So what is your opinion on the teaching of the history of race relations in the US? How does the Hartford Public Schools curriculum rate this area?
So to be honest, because I didn't grow up in a Hartford Public, I don't know the exact curriculum, but I do know that critical race theory is very much so in the national conversation. And here's my response. I'm 100% in favor of a curriculum that gets our students to think objectively, and that's going to help them become more competitively. People are worried that, oh, well, critical race theory might make George Washington look bad, right? But it might also show George Washington's mistakes and how to stand on top of that and become better, right? So I don't have a problem with an objective curriculum whatsoever. From what I've been told, critical race theory just brings another viewpoint of history. I would love for our students to be able to compare and contrast those different perspectives and make a decision on their own.
Reflecting back to my own high school experience in the Hartford Public School system, something I noticed was the lack of information given in textbooks. And I noticed it was the same information being regurgitated, and you're not having conversations that are open to more current events.
Yeah, you mentioned being a critical thinker, right? And part of being a critical thinker or an objective thinker is being able to look at things from both sides, right? It's not about making anybody look bad. It's not about making anybody look good. It's about history, looking at it in its total context and going, oh, okay, well, this is how I'm going to apply that, So it's unfortunate that the national conversation has gotten political, and if people are trying to stop certain conversations from happening. But history is history. All we can do is learn from it. So,
Thank you, Mr. Callender.
no problem.
Now, one of the topics that has been in the news a lot is the mental health of students, partly due to the COVID issues that have been troubling us for the last 18 months, but they were there before. They've certainly been intensified. So would you like to comment on how the school system can and should work with students on their mental health issues?
I certainly support having social workers and people who are professionals who are able to deal with these type of situations. I support that because I don't want our teachers to have to be so focused on that. I want our teachers to be cognizant about it and recognize signs, but I want that to be the job of professionals, and those would be your psychologists the social workers, your therapists, et cetera. So again, I support having those that type of infrastructure, those type of professionals within our schools. And if I'm going to take this question a little bit further, we also see in the news a lot of violence, a lot of gun violence. Okay, and a lot of that has to do with peers not being able to develop. And I'm putting this in a nice bow. Put a nice bow on this. Peers from different sides of towns not being able to come together and develop positive relationships with each other. And I think that's something our schools really can do. I know we talk a lot about the police responding to the problem, but to be honest, we could do a lot more in the schools about that.
Thank you. And I think we have one more question for you.
Oh.
Taya, you'd like to stay longer?
I'd like to stay longer.
Taya, you may have the last question, Taya.
Oh, I'm honored. The last question. Why did you choose to run for a seat on the Hartford Board of Education?
Yeah. So let me just say this because I guess I'm closing out. So I want to say thank you for the questions. Thank you for the time. So this is a very sensitive and critical time for the students, for the teachers, for the parents in Hartford. And from what I can tell is that we're kind of doing business education as normal. And I don't think that's going to work for our students. So I took it upon myself with some support to throw my hat in the race and bring the kind of change I would like to see to our students. So again, it's a very sensitive time. There's a lot of money on the table that can really put our schools in the right direction. And somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do it. And I would love to do it. I love Hartford. I'm from Hartford. I was transplanted to Windsor. I was sent off to Windsor. But I love Hartford. And I'm back in Hartford. So, that's why I'm running. I'm running for our parents. I'm running for our students. I'm running for our teachers. And here we go.
Mr. Callender, thank you. This has, and to get your responses, and we are hopeful that we will have many citizens, voters in Hartford viewing all of the interviews that are going to be part of this Hartford Votes website and social media. So again, thank you very much for being with us, and thank you, Taya, for co-hosting this with me.
Thank you.
Again, Daryl, thank you for the platform. Thank you for Hartford Votes. Truly humble. Thank you.
You're welcome.